Friday what?
It's Friday, fool.
Friday, fool. How's everybody doing today? Judge going yard. You know, the one thing I just got to say to get this out of there, the thing about Joey Gallo, Joey Gallo is so, this is a rare, I don't know that this has ever happened, actually, now that I think of it. Joey Gallo is so pitiful that it's not even fun making fun of him anymore. There comes a point where it's like, oh, man, I mean, you can't even justify making fun of the guy.
He's going to go someplace else and hit 12 home runs for the rest of the year.
Good luck with that. But, that's obviously just a secondary issue, although for some reason he continues to play. Teak, what's happening, buddy? How you doing
All's
today,
good, man? Good? We hit this yesterday, BT, real briefly about Shohei Ohtani.
Yep.
Potentially, because of the Mike Trout situation, we weren't even thinking about him actually being traded or on the forefront of people's minds when you talk about the trade situation in Major League Baseball before the deadline in a couple of days. But because of Mike Trout, who has a really serious condition in his back, even though he says he's going to play and is going to have to manage it, at least according to his trainer, really for the rest of his career. If the Angels are thinking about getting some value, because they're not going anywhere with Mike Trout or Ohtani, who won the Cy Young last year, you're not going anywhere with these guys. Why not move on from Ohtani and just do what you got to do with Trout, which is basically hang on and hope that he hits some milestones at some point, but move Ohtani for some big assets for some of these teams that have a lot of really good players in their farm system. And, I mean, we said this flippantly. We talked about it flippantly yesterday because it didn't feel like it was a reality.
I wasn't flippant. I actually brought it up. I was pretty serious about it.
It's more of a question than more of a reality. But now it seems like it's starting to get some reality. And if Shohei Ohtani can be had, and it's probably less expensive than Soho. No, it definitely is less expensive, prospect-wise, than Juan Soto. You absolutely have to think about this. And if you're the Yankees and you have a chance to do this, why not?
Well, why not the Mets as well? I mean, I don't think this is just a Yankees thing. I think this is an everything thing because he's one of the best players we've seen. He really checks every box. I mean, he's going to put people in the seats. He's going to do damage on the mound. He's going to hit bombs. Listen, here's what the Angels should do. The Angels should just rewind recent New York history, somewhat recent New York history. And I hope that this is not the fate staring at Mike Trout, but it might be. Look at Don Mattingly, who went from Stan Musial, basically a modern Stan Musial, to, I mean, we love Donnie, but basically a singles hitter, hitting, softish 288, couple of years, whatever. Okay. Look at David Wright, who went from one of the great young, there's no doubt to me, David Wright would have been a Hall of Famer. He's still the Mets great, but he had a chance to be maybe an all-time great. It's a little ambitious, but, man, David Wright was phenomenal. Spinal stenosis. I know that's not what Trout has, but the back is very unforgiving. And even to a lesser extent, Larry Johnson, who had some Larry Johnson. I love the way they used to say that at the Garden. And forward number 2, Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson, he had the 4-point play. LJ, Grandmama. Remember the old commercials when he was with the Hornets? The Grandmama commercial,
yeah,
right? The Converse. Well, when we got him, he was deprived of his lift and the explosion that we saw at UNLV and early in the NBA because of his back injury. So what I'm saying is, in a long-winded manner, is that the Angels need to look in the mirror and be realistic. Mike Trout has a no-trade clause. Mike Trout has a long-term contract. And Mike Trout has the worst injury any pro athlete can have. And that is a bulky, unforgiving, unpredictable back. So they need to look at this through a very pragmatic prism. And if they do, you got to knock their socks off and say, we will give you this, and this to get Ohtani here. And last night was a great night to pump up our prospects. Did you see what Francisco Alvarez did last night?
I did not.
An absolute smash job for AAA Syracuse. The ball had to go 435 feet. It was crushed. Did you see what Anthony Volpe did last night for the Yankees?
I did not.
Well, number one, he had a web gem. It was like an Ozzie Smith play up the middle. It was sick. And, oh, yeah, by the way, in a doubleheader, he went 4 for 8 with 2 bombs. So we've got a couple of days here, and we've talked about these prospects, and we've talked about whether or not the Yanks and Mets should be willing to give them up. You now have a chance to get not one, but there are 2 doors that are open right now if you kick it in hard enough. One door is Soto. Wonder is Ohtani. Make it happen.
Which one of the teams, New York teams, needs and could use him most? It's probably the Mets, obviously, because they need another bat. Not that they need another pitcher, especially if Jacob deGrom comes back and pitches well next week against the Nationals. Then you're not worried about the starting rotation. But you throw Shohei Ohtani into a Mets rotation with Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer, all of a sudden they feel unbeatable in some regards. Especially if Ohtani gives you some of these days that he's giving you on the mound, where he's wearing back and hitting 101 with ease, and then getting RBI doubles and home runs on the other side of it. So if you're the Mets, it makes the most sense. But the Yankees, if they were willing to go spend this money, at least allegedly, on Juan Soto, prospects and money on Juan Soto, the better option is maybe Shohei Ohtani.
Bang.
Right?
Cheaper.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper.
He's a free agent after next season.
That's exactly right. And so you don't have to give up so much of the farm.
Yeah.
You're going to pay him, obviously. But at the end of the day, it's just money. And so the argument can be made for both New York's teams to put huge pushes on Shohei Ohtani, because you're right, BT. The Angels they're not going anywhere. I mean, they couldn't go anywhere with. Shohei Ohtani was unbelievable. He didn't win the Cy Young, won the MVP last year. He was the MVP of the American League last year. Mike Trout, even though he missed some games, he was still Mike Trout. And they went nowhere. And they started this season, and it maybe felt a little bit like they were getting some hay, but it always comes back to their subpar mean with the Angels. They're not doing anything unless they completely revamp their process.
Yep.
And so the only way that's going to happen is if you get the right assets at the right time. And because of Mike Trout's injury, right now is the right time to move on from Shohei Ohtani. As much as it sucks, Angels fans, if there are a plethora of them,
who cares
are gonna hate it
about them?
Who exactly?
We don't care about them.
I'm not talking about. I'm talking from an Angels standpoint. Who cares? Tough. Right? It's great to have two transcendent players on your team, but when you win 55 games a year, does it really even matter?
No, it doesn't. That's a rhetorical question. You know the answer. 877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney on the Fan. Hopefully everybody's doing well. We're inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Our friends at Town Fair remind you that at Town Fair, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. So they are 42-57 this. To Tiki's point, they're 42-57 this year. They were 77-85 a year ago. The truncated 2020 pandemic year, they were 26-34. Back in 2019, they were 72-90. In 2018, they were good. They were 80-82. The year before that, they were 80-82. The year before that, they were 74-88. They have languished in no man's land, and I think it's worth repeating for almost a decade, by the way. When you look at Mike Trout, I got news for you. If I'm Cashman or Epler, all right, or Cohen or Steinbrenner, and the Angels called me tonight, and they said, forget about Soto, forget about Ohtani for a moment, and they said, give us your top 4 prospects, you can take Mike Trout. I would say, appreciate it, love Mike, great player, damaged goods, we'll pass.
Yeah.
What do you want for Ohtani?
That's right.
I would not make that trade, and I don't think I'm alone. So when you look at the one thing of this, when you look at what the Yankees need to do, and I know the Mets made it a little trade. And by the way, Tyler Naquin is interesting. We should at least give this 30 seconds.
Yeah.
What this means for those who might not be sure. Jeff McNeil plays more second. Get him out of the outfield. Guillorme, this opens up some more reps for the platoon at third. So it's a smallish kind of a move that I like, but it's obviously not a it's not going to move the needle that much. But it's an interesting reinforcement. So just to give you 30 seconds on that.
Yep.
But I'll tell you what, man, the Yankees need an electric arm behind Garrett Cole. We've said that now for months. Ohtani brings both,
That's
and
right.
he's a thumper.
That's right.
I mean,
it makes all the sense in the world. It makes all the sense in the world. And if you don't want Ohtani, why would you not want Ohtani? There's no reason not to want Ohtani. In fact, because he's so star ready. Now Soto's a star as well, Juan Soto. But you can't help but think about what you got to give up to get Juan Soto, both in immediate term in prospects, but also in the long term with the contract. Whereas Juan Soto, Shohei Ohtani, it just feels like he is the perfect injection of star power for a team that's trying to win a World Series. And that's the Mets and the Yankees. But particularly if he is with the Yankees, it's just they are really in the spotlight if they should bring Shohei Ohtani in. So I hope it happens. I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, you talk about the scouting that it takes and all these other things. This would have to be an emotional decision as opposed to one, foundationed in research and trade-offs.
An emotional part on who the Angels, you mean, to actually give to move on from him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I don't know that Artie will. Their owner, Artie Moreno.
What they're getting back, they're not going to necessarily
know. But you make
know.
him think.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
You make him think, and you present him with something that's so enticing that it's really hard to say no. And that's where I'm at. It's funny because I brought this up on the show yesterday. Now everybody's writing about it. Now you go to, I was on ESPN.com this morning. There's a little, there's an article, where Ohtani might be dealt. I know it was in the New York Post. I mean, this is, again, I don't even think it's going to happen. But the mere fact that there's
they have to think about
avenue of possibility.
But they have to think about it.
You got to go for it. No question. All right, let's get to you guys. By the way, at 11:40, if you missed yesterday's show, Tiki and I started doing this every day. We'll do it now up until the start of the football season. Our 2 days, Tiki and Tierney's 2 days. We'll do that at 11:40. And what it is, every day at that point, Tiki takes a Giant, I take a Jet, and we'll give you a sense of what we expect them to do and how they fit into the team and role allocation, blah, 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 maybe even some stats. Obviously start getting ready for football. But, man, oh, man, when was the last time, I don't really know off the top of my head, but when was the last time that two players – and I don't think that they're not dangling Ohtani. So let's be fair. I don't want to misrepresent the market or their thought process. But two players like this, Soto and Ohtani, theoretically available in the same season.
The only problem.
When was that happening?
Yeah, the only problem is that when we get this type of scenario.
Yeah.
We always hype it up so big.
Well, but it's worth the hype, Deke. It's not manufacturing.
Of course it is. But my point is, it rarely happens. It rarely.
Yeah, no, I got you.
It rarely comes to fruition that one of these guys.
Don't tell anybody.
I know, but still, it's you know what. You know what the lottery is right now, BT?
The lottery.
It's like $1.2 billion. It's ridiculous.
What would you do if you won $1.2 billion?
Nothing.
Honestly, what would you do?
Like nothing.
What would you do?
Nothing. I'd give a lot of it away, just the things I care about.
Sure. Once we get past the charitable endeavors, what would you do?
Literally nothing.
Would you come in and do the show?
I might do it, but I'd care less.
Really? You wouldn't do the show? You leave me?
No.
How much would you give me if you won 1.2?
I would not care as much about the things that we care about when we do this show. And you know what I'm talking about.
How much would you give me if you won $1.2 billion?
Give you guts.
Because I'm still waiting on the jersey and I'm still waiting on the whiskey that you owe me. Yeah, exactly. Then you'd probably give me nothing. It was what you give me.
But my point is, everybody talks about what happens if they win the lottery, right? Just like you just did. You know, what happens if you win the lottery?
I'd still come in and do the show.
This is going to be amazing. I'm going to do this. I'm going to buy a new car. I'm going to get my mom a house. I'm going to do that.
I'll hook up everybody.
By the way, that's all we're doing.
Buy the Jets from Woody Johnson. That's what I'm going to do.
That's all we're doing. You probably wouldn't have enough money.
That's true.
It's all we're doing with Shohei Ohtani and Juan Soto. It's like we're playing this lottery game with our minds. What would happen if? It might not happen, but damn, if it does, it's going to be fun.
Look out. Paul's in Newark, first up on the fan. Paul, Tiki, and Tierney, how you doing, bud?
What's up?
Ooh, what's up, Paul? You still there?
Bad connection, first call?
Ooh.
Oh, man.
Not a good way to start a Friday.
Yeah. Let's get Rick down to Tampa. What's happening, Ricky?
Hey.
What's up, Rick?
Hey, second up. What's up, guys?
Oh, it's
How
good.
are you?
Ricky.
What's happening?
Hey, listen. Yeah, Tony Soprano said the worst form of conversation is saying "remember when."
Yes.
I think the second one is "what would you do if you win the lottery?" So, let's start with that right off the bat.
You've had that conversation, Rick. You know you went and got your Powerball and Mega Millions. You know you did.
No, because I don't.
Oh, you used the Jack Pocket app. That's what it was.
I don't have that in Florida. Remember that. We don't have none of those good apps down here.
That's a good point.
Nothing's legal.
That's
Nothing's legal. Hey, real quick, BT, as soon as, real quickly, with Gallo was up there, we get Benintendi. I'm thinking Hicks, Benintendi, Judge in the outfield, and there's Gallo. So I was like, oh, really?
It's really amazing.
It's amazing.
It's not even fun making fun of the guy anymore because it's just, and I don't use this word, to use Tiki's word flippantly, but it's so pathetic. It really is so sad. that it really has gone, like the expiration points for me, I can't even make fun of the guy. It's just not even worth it. I'm actually I know he's a pro. I know he's making good money. I know everybody, we'd love to be a pro. I get that. But to be in this guy, how does this guy wake up happy?
No.
He can't do the most basic requirement of his job.
It's beyond that. So even to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to say real quickly with Benintendi. Listen, I heard on Twitter last night when Benintendi. First of all, I don't like him leading off, and I know you think that's not going to be the case. DJ will lead off, but I hear on Twitter going, hit one out of the stand, hit one out, end the game. That's not what we got him for.
No.
Let's keep him as a base hitting guy. You know what I'm saying? That 320 average is going to go down to the mid twos quicker than split. Listen, we don't need him to do that. We want him to be on base. So let's not Yankee-ize him in a way like that right away. Let's keep him what we want him for. You know what I mean?
I know exactly
Rick,
what you
that
mean.
almost feels to
and
me.
I agree with you.
That almost feels to me it's the casual, uninformed. We just traded for this guy, Andrew Benintendi. He must be of the Yankee way. Hit a home run. Well, you know that's not what he's about.
Well, he did hit 20 a couple times with the Red Sox back in the day, and it's 314 feet down the right field line. He's a lefty.
Juice balls. So did Jeff McNeil. So just telling you, I'm just telling you, so did Gleyber Torres, right? And Gleyber's been actually hitting the opposite field, which is interesting. His swing has leveled, and it's actually helped him hit more.
Oh, the home run against the Mets.
That's what I mean.
And when he does that, that's when he's at his absolute best.
His swing leveled, and he actually started hitting better than more home runs than he had been. But my point is, that's not what Andrew Benintendi's here for.
I agree with you.
And so
doesn't mean you can't knock a few.
To me, it's the uninformed, like. I'm so jacked up that this guy's a Yankee. Go be the hero.
Well, yeah,
But
you're tired of staring at a zero for 2.5 hours.
that's right. I agree. But you know that the guy right behind him was more likely to do that, which he ultimately did.
And I'll tell you, Judge, he was flailing away again last night. He has really had a rough time with that slider going back to the Mets series. And
Scherzer got in his head.
I mean, but did he? Because here he is banging one for the walk-off.
No, of course.
I mean, what a moment. Oh, do we have Sterling's call? Yeah, of course. Dove, how you doing today,
No,
Dove? You good?
I was listening to the Sterling.
Attaboy, Dove.
I was listening to it on the radio. I wasn't watching. I was listening to it on the
You
radio.
were listening to it?
Yeah, because
Okay.
it was late. I was in bed. So Sterling
But
does.
you were laying in bed listening to the game?
Yes.
With a TV in front of you?
I don't have control of the TV in my bedroom. I'm not even going to fake it. I don't have control of the TV in my
Well, then
bedroom.
go to a different room.
Until Tracy goes to bed. But I want to be in bed with my wife.
Let
So I'm
me hear
listening
the
to it,
call.
and Susan almost jumps on it. Almost.
Oh, really?
Yes, you'll hear it.
She's trying to bogart?
No, it's
Uh-oh.
just the moment.
The Hall of Famer, a little bit overzealous. Let's go. Here we go, Dove.
Here's Judge. He's walked and struck out twice. And the pitch swung on and hit in the air to deep left center. It is high. It is far. It is gone. A walk-off home run to win the game. A Judgian blast. A one-out, bottom of the ninth, home run by Judge to win the ball game 1-0. All rise.
There you go.
Here comes the Judge.
Yes, here he comes. Yeah, I caught that little. Was Susan? What was she getting ready to say? Something I couldn't decipher.
No, I think it was just
she just got excited.
It's just an emotional reaction. Like, oh!
Oh, is that what it was? That was like an excited a sign of exultation, or it was a point? I could give it again. Let's go. Here we go.
Here's Judge. He's walked and struck out twice. And the pitch swung on and hit in the air.
Okay. Sounds like she stubbed her toe or something, actually. All right, he sounds good, man. I'll tell you, the days off for him, they've served him well.
Yeah, agreed.
He
I
sounds
agree.
so energized.
Yeah, it's really fun listening to it on the radio.
I love him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody, most Yankee fans really do love John. He loves the game. He's got this romantic approach, this over-the-top, wackiness, which makes it very appealing.
Yeah.
And he's got detractors. We all do. But, man, I'm going to miss him what he's got. I've always said that. I don't care who they bring in. It looks like it's going to be Burke, who's good. But there's only one Sterling.
Yeah, for the record, I don't have an actual radio in my bedroom.
Tiki's like Gilligan's Island. He's got the transistor next to the bed.
Free Odyssey app.
That's
that
right.
I'm listening to it on.
The app is awesome, by the way. So here's where we're going.
Radio? I don't have a radio. I don't have a clock radio. There's nothing. I don't
have a radio in my
clock
bedroom.
is my phone. or my watch that I prop up on the side of my bed on my bedside table.
I can
There's
see
no
Dove.
clock.
Dove, you know you have an alarm clock with the actual bells, don't you?
Yes.
Is it across the room, or is it within striking
Across
distance?
the room?
No, within striking distance. Actually, it has 2 alarms on the clock.
Well, no, you
And-
put it up. The theory is you put it across the room.
you have to get up to shut it
you actually
off?
have to get up to shut it off.
You know-
so you have to make a
I
conscious
hear ya,
decision to
yeah.
get back in bed.
I'm
as
not a deep
opposed to
sleeper, so I don't.
being
But
an
have you
unconscious.
are you a snooze guy? Like I don't even really hit snooze.
I only snooze when Tracy snoozes. When she says, "Don't get up yet," I'm like, "All right, whatever, stay right here."
877-337-6666. So we've got our 2-a-days coming up at 11:40. Listen, I don't know that it's going to happen, but I am burning up those phone lines, and I am forget about Soto. As the only target, Shohei Ohtani has entered the chat room. Can you pry him away from the Angels and of the Yanks and the Mets? Who needs him more if you can? Tiki and Tierney right here on the Fan.